How's it, guys? And welcome back to the Diverge Podcast, the first episode, first edition of 2025. And the season has started already. The mountain biking season in particular has started already with some pretty big races and some stellar performances. So, we're going to dive right into that and then look ahead to some of the upcoming events. As well as sort of look at what to expect from the podcast going forward this year. So starting off with Attakwas, the traditional start of the season on the 18th of January this year. And so a little bit easier, I think, this year from a weather perspective. It was hot, but not searingly hot, not the searing heat that we've seen in 22 and 24 in particular were very hot years. So, yeah, a little bit easier from that side, but the the road conditions in the Attakwas Kloof and in the Karoo on the way to the Attakwas were really rough. The roughest I've seen in the way to the Karoo or the way across the Karoo towards the Attakwas. We then ended up breaking a motorbike on that first hill climb, that very rocky climb. Smashed the sump and knocked the oil cooler of the BMW GS 800, and that was the end of of the live tracking for me. Other than that, aside from my misfortune, it was a really great performance by Alan Hatherly. No one really expected to see Alan at Attakwas. I think with signing for Jayco AlUla and then racing on, mountain bikes for Giant Factory Off Road, we kind of expected that he wouldn't be doing much in South Africa aside from SA Champs maybe on the cross country. So to see him at Attakwas was very cool, and he sort of was pretty patient on the day. It bided its time. Kept his powder dry until after the climb to the King of the Mountain in the Attakwas Kloof. And after Tristan took that, he went over the top, very close to Tristan, within a couple of seconds of Tristan. And it was a strong group that went through the kloof together, and then out of the kloof, passing Bonnydale. It started to break up there, Tristan and Alan putting in some digs to get rid of Wessel, Butter, Michael Foster, and Marco Hubert. And then once Tristan and Alan were on their own, they kind of worked together for a bit, and then Alan attacked Tristan again, rode away to victory. So first race of the season, first win of the season for Alan on the mountain bike, and he was in very chatty form afterwards as well. We spoke on and off camera quite a bit, and he's very, very excited about the year ahead. And sort of really eager to share the experiences as well, which is very, very, very cool. So I think it's going to be an exciting one to watch for South African cycling fans. He's got an interesting program this year, a lot of stage racing in the first part of the season. He's currently at the AlUla Tour in Saudi Arabia. Then he goes to Vuelta al Garve in Portugal. So staying pretty low. He's not doing too much or not doing anything at altitude, which is pretty cool. And also racing on sort of bigger roads as well in the early season. And then he does the Ardennes Classics, the Climbers Classics in April, which will be that first big test of his ability to move up through the group and stuff. So I think it's going to be an exciting one for everybody to watch, especially given that it has started so well already at the AlUla Tour Stage 2, coming second on the day to third on the day behind Tom Pidcock, 7 seconds down there. Looking ahead at the AlUla Tour going forward, today is Stage 3. It looks like it'll be a likely sprint stage. Then Stage 4 is going to be the one that. Oh, sorry, have I got this wrong? I might have this wrong. Anyway, I think there's only 5 stages. Anyway, today sprint stage. Tomorrow got a bit of a hockey stick sort of stage, flat, and then with 500 meter elevation gain climb over 6 kilometers. It ramps up to 22% at the steepest section, and then the finish, the top of the climb comes 8 k's from the finish, and then it's sort of a slight downhill drag for 8 kilometers into the finish. So yeah, look for a reduced branch sprint there, and then the final stage, another sprint stage. So depending on how tomorrow goes, if somebody can go over the top on their own and stay away, but that seems unlikely. Yeah, it's going to come down to bonus seconds and potentially that gap that Tom Pidcock was able to make yesterday on that stage. So yeah, but still early season, and basically just a good opportunity to gain some confidence and gain some experience in the big groups of road cycling for Alan there. But yeah, let's have a little look at what both Alan and Tristan had to say after the Attakwas Extreme.
Alan, very different race this year to 2022. Still hot, but slightly more bearable conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Learned the hard lessons in 22 with those severe conditions. But yeah, luckily this year's edition was a bit more forgiving, I would say. Still no easy feat. It's still one of the hardest events I've done, not to be taken lightly. But yeah, perfect start to the season for me. Really good opportunity to test the shape, see how the preparation has been. Obviously, this year's a different focus for me, being really road focused for the first part of the year, which is obviously endurance, and that's why this was a perfect test for me, just to see where we were at. And first outing on the Giant Anthem as well, which was really cool just to test it. So yeah, overall ticked all the boxes and really enjoyed myself out there.
And then tell us about that winning move. Tristan said he put in a bit of a dig on one of those climbs off the Bonnydale, and you went with him, and then you went over the top, and you guys worked together for a little bit, and then you just attacked and went all out for too long for him to hold.
Yeah. It was a tactical final, I would say, because at that point where Tristan put the pressure on, and I think we were at that point testing Vessel, and Marco and Michael was with him, and then I looked back and I saw that Marco and Michael attacked to actually bridge across to Tristan and I knew that they'd put a massive effort to do that. So as they're close to us, I went over the top and just popped them straight off again, and then left them chasing. And yeah, then it was just me and Tristan for about 15-20 k's or so, and then yeah, on one of the steep hard climbs, I think Bonnydale or something like that, yeah, went all in on the climb just to test Tristan, and yeah, managed to get a gap. And then from there it was a matter of doing a time trial to the finish, which was alright until 5 k's to go, and then was absolutely on the hook, but luckily the gap was enough to hold it to the finish. Yeah, for sure. I mean, my next mountain bike event is scheduled for Nova Mesto World Cup in May, so I got a bit of a dry spell on the mountain bike. So yeah, I was really happy to have been able to squeeze this in before I start my road season. But yeah, just perfect test. I mean, 5 hours of race time, going flat out racing with the guys. I mean, the level is so high here in South Africa, especially around this time of year. The guys are flying as they build towards Tankwa and Epic. So yeah, it's a true test, and really happy with the result today.
Tristan, talk us through the early part of the race. You seemed to go away as you were leaving Chandelier, and then were sort of out front, like 10-15 seconds out front on your own for quite a while.
Yeah, it was definitely not planned. I knew all the downhills in Chandelier, like which ones are dangerous, so I just went to the front on one of them and got like a 5-second gap at the bottom, and I thought, okay, let me do like a 1 minute effort and see who would come with and who's strong on the day. But yeah, no one wanted to come with, and I just rode my own pace for like 10 k's, and yeah, then I decided, okay, I just have to back off. It's a long day, so yeah, I just tested the guys out there. There's 2 significant climbs before you enter the Kloof. Yeah, you definitely have to be in good position, because as soon as someone makes a mistake in front of you, you have to get off. And then to get back, it's a hard effort, so rather make the effort before the climb, and then just try to stay on your bike and stay second, third wheel, and you don't have to make the effort after the climb again. Yeah, the Kloof, when we entered the Kloof, I felt really good. Then I think Daniel tried to push the pace to take the KM, or I think Daniel maybe rode for Alan to tire us out and went for the KM, and I just sat on his wheel, and then yeah, I felt very comfortable. And then just when I saw 200 meters to go, I just made a little dig and took the KM, and then just sat up over the top. So yeah, also just checked whose legs are good they would come with, but yeah, no one could come with, and then yeah, I took the KM. We were 5 going out of the cliff. Then I think like halfway up that big climb in the trees, I made an effort just to check who would come with, not all in, and yeah, Alan came with, and then Alan went over the top over me, and I just took his wheel. And yeah, we were riding together, and then the big climb before the second last water point, Alan went all in for like 5 minutes. I went with, but yeah, that last minute of that climb, I had to set up because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get to the finish, and just kept him in sight. But yeah, Alan definitely was strong today, and then he just TT to home, and I just tried to catch him, but yeah, Alan was strong. Attakwas it's a weird race. It's very early in the season, so yeah, I never want to make it a goal. Even this year, I came here without wanting a result. I just wanted to feel good, and yeah, I didn't train specific for this because it's way too early in the season. We have big goals for the season, so my approach for Attakwas was definitely way different than other years. And yeah, it seems to be working if I come into Attakwas not training for it and not concentrating on it. So yeah, if I can start it like this, it can only go better from here.
Of course, Alan won the race. Tristan was second. Behind them, AlUla Tour had a stellar ride. He had issues at water point 2. He lost a cleat bolt in the run into that water point, and struggled, or his mechanics struggled to get his shoe out of the pedal, and he lost about 8 minutes there, and then rode back to third place. Yeah, that was probably the ride of the day from anyone at the Attakwas. In the women's race, Samantha Saunders again thrived in the heat. She won pretty comfortably, and Hayley Preen racing for Honeycomb 226s now. Ellie was second. Another good ride from her. I think it's going to be interesting to see how she goes, both on the mountain bike in individual events this year and on the gravel bike. She, of course, is racing Lifetime Grand Prix again this year. And then Sarah Hill was third on the day. And Sarah has rejoined the team that she used to race for, Efficient Infinity. Ensure when she was there, it was still Galileo Risk. She's back there at Efficient Infinity, and she'll be teaming up with Vera a fair amount this season. So that's very cool for Sarah. Good to see her back in a team setup. I stuffed up with the women's interviews at Attakwas, and my audio for them is not good enough to include here. It was barely good enough for social media. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. I'll have to be better from there on out. But yeah, not a lot of sort of interesting insights there from that, especially not in comparison to Alan and Tristan's insights, of course, both with new teams this year. And speaking of new teams, the big announcement is that Safari Essence Titan Racing have launched with Danielle, formerly Stradom, now De Toy, Nee Stradom, and Bianca Hall. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go in stage races. They're racing Tankwa Trek and the Cape Epic together. They've got a pretty cool program. They want to do the Swiss Epic as well, and World Champs. So, and 4 Islands as well, and of course Sani to see. So yeah, they've got a jam-packed season. A bit of gravel racing too, with Danielle being the current South African gravel champion. So yeah, they're going to be a team to watch. And then on the other front, Vessel, of course, moved from Imbuko to Honeycomb. Tristan moved from Honeycomb to Imbuko, and Imbuko have got new sponsors on board as well this year. So they are Imbuko Chem Champ for 2025, and I must say their kit looks very cool as well. Imbuko Chem Champ, of course, had a stellar day out at the first Ford Trailseeker of the year in Bangkok. That was last weekend. At Plaisir de Mille, and Marco Joubert won there. Renata Bossi was there, told me that Marco, even though it was pretty close, Marco pretty much dominated that race, and he set the tempo for a lot of it. Mark Pritson crashed coming into the final bend onto the finishing straight, and went from contesting the sprint victory to finishing third. Tristan between Mark Britson and Marco. So first and second for Imbuko Kemchamp at the Trailseeker. The Trailseekers this year have boosted their prize money. So I think it's 12,000 rand for race victories for both men and women, but there's 100,000 rand up for grabs for the overall series champion. Top 4 results of the 6 races count towards that, and of course then Marco starting that very well. But in addition to that, if a racer wins all 6 events, they get R1 million. So that is a huge incentive for Marco now to go on and do every single event of the Trailseeker series. The women's race, it's unlikely that Yolanda Neff will take part in another Trailseeker this year. Can't really see that happening, but with Stellenbosch being full of international pros at the moment, Yolanda took the victory there, starting her season and her time with Cannondale Factory Racing with a good win. Sarah Kortanovis is the new rider for Ghost Factory Racing. She was second, ahead of Anna Santos in third, and Bianca Hoare was the first South African across the line in fourth. Quite a few of those riders will be at Tankwa Trek as well, not Yolanda, unfortunately, but Sarah is racing Tankwa Trek with Tyler Jacobs, which are very cool for those two youngsters teaming up as Live as Live Ghost Factory Racing for the event for Tankwa Trek. And they've got some big competition in Kate Courtney and Candice Lill. Candice is pretty much the queen of the Tankwa Trek. She has won the race on 4 occasions now with 3 different partners, going back to Helen Grobert in 2018, then 2 victories with Mariska Strauss in 2020 and 2022, and then in 2024 she won with Mona Mittenweiler. So she's the defending champion, racing alongside Kate Courtney. All those other riders have got big work if they are to try to compete against them. The full Tankwa Trek lineup and story about who to watch there is on diverge.info, and I'll include that in the show notes as well, so you can see exactly who's taking part. Men's race, Speed Company, or Beer-led Speed Company, are starting their season at the Tankwa Trek. First time that they're doing that, and not going to the Andalusia bike race. So that's very cool for South African mountain biking fans to see Lukas Baum and Georg Egger in action so early in the season. And we'll see what form they're in ahead of the Cape Epic in March. They'll be up against Matt Beers, who decided to switch in pretty late, not last minute, but pretty late. So he took over Travis Steadman's spot in Toyota Specialized for the Tankwa Trek. Toyota Specialized, of course, defending champions. Matt won last year with Alex Miller, and he'll be racing alongside Johan van Zyl, which I'm sure has Johan pretty nervous for a race that really suits Matt, and one that he's always done very well in. Johan's going to have to Eital and Weiss next weekend. And then I think the top South African team is likely to be Imbuko Kemchamp, maybe they probably will outperform Johan and Matt, actually, maybe. Imbuko Kemchamp, Marco, and Tristan Norquer. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they go at Tankwa, and if the two of them together can make that step up and maybe challenge a little bit closer to the very top end of the Absa Cape Epic as well, off the back of a good Tankwa Trek. But it certainly looks like it. They've been strong so far this season, strong at Attakwas, very strong at the Banguk Trailseeker. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. In the meantime, of course, between now and I'm going to try to bring you an episode from stage 1 of the Tankwa Trek. You can read all that news, all the mountain biking news, some trail running news as well on diverge.info, and in the show notes there'll be links to the stories about the Attakwas, the build up to the Tankwa Trek, the Banguk Trailseeker, and a few more happenings from the world of South African off-road sport. Until next time, cheers.